The second business I started was really more accidental. Um, at the time, so I'm sure most people remember the Vine app. But when Vine came out, I've always just been, I just have loved to create. And so when Vine came out, I knew that I could use it as a creative outlet for me to just have fun with. And so I downloaded it the first day it came out, and I was already fascinated a little bit by stop motion content. I would watch some stop motion videos and stuff on YouTube, and I was like, man, this platform really lends itself well to creating stop motion, because the way that the app function is, you would tap the screen and it would capture a little bit of video, and then you would, you could hold it or you could tap it again or whatever. And I was like, man, if I could just like tap and then move something and then tap and then move something, I could probably create a stop motion video. And I didn't really know much about stop motion, but I knew how it worked. Like I knew the animation process. And so I think the second night that after Vine came out, me and my son made a Lego stop motion. It was like a Lego Batman stop motion video. And I woke up the next day and Vine had featured it as an editor's pick, which what that meant is it put that video in everybody's feed.
Wow.
And so I grew a massive following on Vine, and so the app had just come out, so everybody was downloading it. And then when they downloaded it, I was in their feed. And so my following grew exponentially overnight. And I started getting all this press, stuff like I remember one article was like, hey, the top 10 people to follow on Vine. It was like Jimmy Fallon, Paul McCartney, I don't even know, like major celebrities. And it was like Hunter Harrison. I'm like, what is going on?
How many followers did you have? Do you remember like a rough number?
No, I mean, like, so I was never on the comedy side, which was like millions of followers, but I mean, I had probably 100,000. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot, dude.
But the thing about it was the content that I was making was very brand friendly, because like brands didn't really know how to create Vines. And so within like a couple of weeks of me doing this stop motion stuff, I started getting some major brands reaching out. And so like I remember the first brand that reached out to me was kind of a smaller scale brand, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. And we just had some conversations back and forth. I had no idea what to charge, but I made something for them. And then the second brand that reached out to me was Bank of America, which is a massive brand. And it was a little bit of a conflict of interest for me because I was still in banking, and I was like, oh man, what do I do? Like, I don't want to turn down this work, because this could be like a completely new business for me.
Do it and just save you get fired.
So I don't know, my ethics kind of take over in some of those situations. So I ended up finding a guy on Vine. His name was Frank, and we had very similar styles. And so I reached out to him, didn't really know him. We followed each other, but I was like, hey man, can we talk about something? And so he was based in Texas. And so he was like, yeah, sure. And so I hopped on the phone with him. I was like, hey man, I'm starting to get some brand deals. And he's like, I'm starting to get some brand deals. And we just started having this back and forth. And I was like, well, look, here's the deal. I've got this opportunity with Bank of America, but I don't feel right about doing it. Can I get you to do it for me? Still like pretend it's me potentially, and just have you create it for them. And so that began a conversation of, yeah, sometimes I get stuff that I don't have time for, because he had another job too. And so we essentially created a partnership on the phone that day. Didn't know each other, at all. And it was like, all right, let's just, everything that comes in, we'll just start sharing. And so we created a social content agency, almost overnight. And so we went from creating branded content for Bank of America to Jennifer Lopez to Samsung Global to, it just went out of control. It was like lightning in a bottle.
Wow.
And within 2.5 months, so we started this agency, social content agency, and within 2.5 months, we had acquisition deals on the table to acquire us. And so at that time, I hadn't sold a company before. I didn't really know what went into all that. But we ended up essentially selling the agency to a big technology company in Houston, Texas. This company had, I think, 250 employees. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to use our brands that we were working with to transition from a technology company into an ad agency. And so they were like, hey, we see the opportunity with the brands that you're working with to kind of leverage this. And so we sold that company I think this was back 2014, maybe 2013, something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy experience. I mean, and these brands were flying us all over the country. Like we were creating content for, I mean, the biggest brands on the planet, some of the biggest events on the planet. I mean, they would fly us out to, major sporting events, National Football Championship, Final Four, National Rugby Championship, which I didn't realize was such a big thing, but it's a massive thing. And then, we'd have other brands like InStyle magazine flew us into New York to Time Magazine Studios to record content for them. And I was just so over my head. Like, I mean, I'm sitting in one of the coolest photography studios in the world, utilizing equipment that I had no idea to use this lighting. Like, I'm not a photographer. I'm just like creating dummied down phone content.
Anybody got an iPhone 8 that I can use? Because this isn't gonna work.
Oh man. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating, just sequence of events, but definitely lightning in a bottle for me.